A very good morning to you and welcome to the show. This is Full Circle with Joyce and my name is Joyce Wahiga. Karibuni sana to the show yet again this Relationship Tuesday. Hoping that you guys are charged and excited for the day. But before that, of course, here is Full Circle with Joyce to talk with you about relationships and the different challenges that so many of us go through. On the show this morning, we want to talk about walking in seasons and time. Our guest, Cynthia Mwangi, Cynthia Wamboyo Tieno, rather, is going to be here and she's going to be shedding some light on that. In addition, we're going to talk about emotional infidelity in relationships. Okay, so perhaps you guys have had an experience where it hasn't been physical cheating, but there's definitely something that has been going on between, say, your partner or your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and someone else. We want to talk about that here today. Again, the SMS line, as always, is 22999. You can also send us your feedback on social media. That's at Switch TV Kenya on Facebook and Twitter, and at Switch TV KE on Instagram. You can also follow me on my social media platforms. That's at Joyce Omondi. But as we get started here, of course, is your inspirational word for the day, as always. And this one says, live in such a way that even if you're given another opportunity to live your life all over again, you would still choose to live it exactly the same way that you are living your life right now. And that's from William Girau. What a powerful quote this morning. I mean, think about that. If you actually had a second chance at life, would you go back and, sort of embrace everything that you've experience? This isn't about saying, oh, times were tough and so I want a better life. This is really addressing the choices that you have made for yourself. Would you do the same things that you did? Would you treat people the same way that you did, or that you are rather? Would you view God in the same way that you are right now? What a powerful challenge this morning, and I really hope that it's getting a lot of you thinking about the way that you're living your life today. It's so important not to live life in regret, and certainly I hope that quote there by William Girau challenges you to exactly that. Well, with that said, we're going to get started with the show. Here is Baby Gloria with the song Remote Control kicking off our show. Karibu sana. This is Full Circle with Joyce.
Have you ever been Mumbela, Tolina, Jo, Dukira? You know I tried and wrong and you never want to make a mistake. Ogamba yasu, pa desani menti yasu, pa assistance yasu. I don't wanna disappoint you. Kwetaga, I'm calling fatherhood, the only one to decide. I'm calling dying everybody aside. He's the only one by my side. Yes, Muyetanze, Muyeta consola, my controller, Muyeta consola, he controls me. The remote control, saying ya, a good jakanga, mintin no go. Whatever, yeah, but me, you take me nowhere. Control, saying ya, a good jakanga, mintin no go. Whatever, yeah, doina don't tell her, hey, control. Remote control. Remote control. Ningandiga konkondo, ngayasu yen kondo, wembambula komyawo, wana konkondo. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I will overcome when I say that. Tibambi yasu, pa disanimente yasu, pa assistance yasu. I don't wanna disappoint you. Kwetaga, I'm calling fatherhood, the only one to decide. I'm calling dying everybody aside. He's the only one by my side. Yesu, Muyetanze, Muyeta consola, my controller, Muyeta consola, he controls me. The remote control, saying ya, a good jakanga, mintin no go. Whatever, yeah, but me, you take me nowhere. Control, saying ya, a good jakanga. forgot. My life doesn't even make sense if you don't lead me. And I really want to niba. Obalamu wange wana. Na bumu kwasa. Yeah. Niko remote control. Senyanya. Ukuja konganga minti no go. Whatever yeah. Mommy, you take me nowhere. Control. Senyanya. Ukuja konganga minti no go. Whatever yeah. Toina don't chala. Hey control.
All right. Well, karibuni sana to Full Circle with Joyce, with me, Joyce Omondi Wahiga. This morning, again, being Relationship Tuesday, this is the day we really get to dig deep into all sorts of issues that many of you may be facing, you know, in your marriage, perhaps a relationship with your child. But today, before we get started with even more on emotional infidelity later on in the show, we want to talk about walking in seasons and time. And joining me on the show, I have Cynthia Wamboyo Otieno, who's a relationship coach. Karibu tena to the show, as always. And today we want to talk about walking in seasons and time. What exactly does that mean to you when you say we're walking in seasons and in time? What does that allude to?
This is what actually my experience is. We've just come from a very dry season, a season where there's not been rain, it's been hot, humid, and they looked like there was no hope. And within a shifting of time and season, now we're starting to see life come back again. Within about a week, grass has begun to sprout back again. Life is starting to show. So for me, is the understanding that God in his own infinite wisdom on the fourth day decided to demarcate time by creating the sun and the moon. And that is a beginning of what a season or a time can actually be established. So for me is understanding, when are we walking in time? What is the time here for now?
Okay.
Yes.
So as we discuss that, guys, remember the SMS line is 22999. Please do send in your feedback for Cynthia, and she'd be happy to sort of answer your questions and just give you her point of view from what you're facing today. But so when you talk about that, how does that then relate to relationships?
Okay. That's a really, really loaded question, and it's a good question, because how do we relate time with relationships? Now, you've got to realize that every relationship, you know, I'm a pastor. I marry quite a number of people every season. And one of the things that we say that, with this ring, I thee wed, with my body, we give you all the, you say these vows in front of a pastor, in front of the church, the congregation and all that. And then we set you to go to do happily ever after, isn't it? So in relationship, we assume that everything will be okay. And we've almost been given like this, cards to deal with. We've got to recognize that in this happily ever after, there are demarcations of seasons or cycles that you're going to go through. Cycles that you need to have prepared yourself, Joyce. You need to have put some thought, and I usually say this, intentionally planned for the season. When we are about to plant, or when we know the rains are coming, you actually plant, isn't it? You prepare the ground. You prepare the ground because you're expecting that you're going to put seed on the ground. And in the same thing in relationship is that when we understand that we are relational beings and I want to build my relationship, or I'm getting into courtship. Let's say I'm getting into courtship. What season am I walking in, and what should I be working on in this time that grows me and grows this relationship? And seasons keep changing for each and every one of us. We have to be very, very cognizant of what time and season we are walking in, because we can sometimes step out of season. Yes.
So in terms of stepping out of season, I guess you sort of have the option to do that before that marriage covenant is made,
Yes.
if that makes sense. You know what I mean? There's at least a way for you to exit. If you feel if you've gone through this hard time, you're not willing to put in the work, that would be the time to exit,
yeah.
right? But you can't do that when you're
already married.
Yeah,
Yes.
at least by God's word you can.
Yes. And the thing is that it's understanding the season that I'm currently walking in, or this time, is it a season of trying, being tried? Because I could have a season of 3 months or a season of 5 years where I'm being tried, but I've got to realize it's not my very existence. We have to be very careful with that, because when we say trying, it doesn't mean that you're going through physical abuse and being killed and you're saying that, oh, it's my trying season. You've got to recognize when it's dangerous and it's a life-threatening situation. But I'm talking about where you're having maybe financial hardship or conflict. What am I learning, and what should I be learning in this season? Am I giving myself opportunity and time to learn? Am I giving the other person opportunity and time to learn? The season that I'm walking in, is it one that I am putting everything that I've got, that God has given me, to grow? Okay, and you've got to recognize that some couples will go seasons of 6-7 years of maybe financial hardship.
Right.
Others will go through 6-7 years of lack in terms of children. Okay, and others will go through different seasons. So recognize where you are at, and then learn, how do I draw resources of the Word of God, of good counsel, good accountability around that season. I think that's what I'm really excited about, is being able to be intentional in marriage and in the relationships around me that helps my seasons.
Yeah. Speaking of marriage and seasons, I guess when you first get married, you're obviously just discovering each other, you're discovering this whole institution.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a way that there can be other influences that come into your space as you sort of figure out yourselves, that maybe dissipate the longer you're in your marriage. I'm specifically talking about, say, friends and in-laws, and whether there is there a season for sort of your in-laws or your family to be involved in your marriage when you've just gotten married?
Oh wow, that's a good one. Is there a season? I believe so. I believe so, because one thing we've got to realize is that we are relational beings. We are not an island. When we're getting into a marriage relationship, we are not isolated from people. We have these people who have become your circle of influence and impact. One of the things that I do when I'm marrying couples is, as the bride is being brought into the church, one of the things that is going to happen is that there's going to be the exchange of the bride is brought in and is put in the hands of the pastor, and I also ask the groom to be given away, okay, because the Bible says that a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one. And they were naked and unashamed. And why we are doing that is that we are doing a public giving away, which shows that these two are being brought in public, in broad daylight, to be given away. So that then when it comes to the circle of influence, your influence had better be a godly influence. You've got to realize that these two have been given away to each other, and before God they are to be together. So even as you come as in-laws, are you encouraging the oneness? Are you speaking into that unity? And so even as you come in and speak into the unity, you've got to be very careful. Is that, do I have my own interests, or am I caring about the interests of these two? And then the other thing you've got to realize, as we are speaking about in-laws, is that we are supposed to become a blessing to our families. Okay, that's one of the, I believe it's in Ephesians, honor your father and mother. And so what happens is that as in-laws or as a couple, is that one of the things that we've got to do is pray for them, encourage them, and stand with them, both sets. And so that's part of being part of that community on involvement with the in-laws.
Okay. I think we can't have this discussion without talking about the season of singleness. So many people are trusting God for a life partner,
Yes.
wanting to get married.
Oh, yes.
And perhaps it's been a journey for some of them. Some of them, maybe they were almost there, things happened, didn't work out. Actually, my guest yesterday, Irene Mureithi, was saying she's been engaged 3 times. I mean, talk to us about then the season of
Being single.
because that's what I want to believe it is, a season.
Yes, I like that.
It's just a season. It's not a permanent state, unless God has specifically told you you're going to be, a single person. And it's a pastor who told me that once. And if that is the case for you, that if you're supposed to be single for life, he told me you would never have the desire to be with someone. You know what I mean? You'd never be dreaming about it. You'd never be wishing about, oh, one day I wish I could get married. So even when you're sitting there saying, oh, me, I'll never get married, the fact that you actually want to is a sign that maybe it's part of God's plan for you at whatever time that may come. So with that understanding, then it is saying that singleness too is a season.
It is. It is a season. And Joyce, you've been single once. I've been single. And when you're single, sometimes you feel like the world is coming to an end, And I don't want to belittle or even to make it fickle. Because let me tell you something. Everybody's season will come. I'm currently, right now, helping my cousin plan her wedding. She's 52.
Wow.
She's getting married for the very first time.
Wow.
Very first time. And her season has been amazing. She's highly accomplished. She has done so many amazing things. And now, after she retired, is when she met this amazing man.
She's going to be on honeymoon for life.
That's right. I'm like, the first time I said hi to him, I said, where have you been? What were you doing? You should have come earlier. But remember, there was a season when she needed to be single.
Yeah.
There's a season that she was needed by her family to take care of certain things for her. So I must say that we've got to recognize, yes, there's frustration. Let me tell you something. When you're tilling the land, you're not going to be happy-go-lucky.
Sure.
But you've got to recognize and go back, retreat back into the space of asking God some very interesting questions. And also going to God and saying, God, there must be a reason why I'm still single. And not because I'm a bad person, but because it's part of the process and preparation that God is putting me through.
Right.
And maybe during this season, God has some amazing influence and impact. And I love Irene Mureithi. Look what she's doing. Look at the impact. How many people has she impacted with transformation?
Yeah.
So what that means, her season of singlehood has not been one of, oh yeah, look at me. I'm still single. She has actually impacted this nation, even in the season of singlehood. So what that means is, for those of us who are going to remain single for a longer time than others, is what impact do you have laid up in your belly?
Right.
What are the things that you can do and pray for and do that will actually be of influence and impact? And of course, there will be seasons where there'll be tears. And being unsure. There'll be a season where you probably have worn 5 different other engagement rings. But you know what I would tell you is that better a broken engagement than a broken marriage.
Absolutely.
You have saved yourself from opportunities of being at the courts. So whose loss is it?
Yeah.
You yourself, you become a better person. I remember being single, and every time I was dumped or I dumped, I asked God questions, and I said, God, what is it I'm supposed to be learning? There's something about me I'm learning about myself and about the people that I'm actually also dating. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. Our time is up, but I know you have an event coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Please tell us about that as we get ready to go.
All right. We on the 4th of May, Saturday, at Milele Guest House here in South Sea, we're going to be having an event called It's Time. It's part of a program that I run under Lamid Network Trust, where we have a 12-week program called the Divas Spark. These divas go through a 12-week experience where we are looking at the woman according to Genesis chapter 1 and 2. Okay. Who does God call out as woman? You know, I am a woman who is a strong woman, a woman that is here to impact society. But what did God really say I am? What season is God calling out of this woman in Nairobi today? And what is her time? Because there's a set time. There's a season that we're just about to enter into. So I would invite all ladies, all manner of women, if you understand that you're walking in a certain season, or you've been desperate to understand what season and time you're walking in, this is for you. It's happening on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock. We have some amazing conversations. Yeah. We will have some amazing interactions and networking that will take place, and God's voice is going to be heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any charges?
It's actually a free open day. It's free, open to all women. Please do come. It's a season for us to celebrate one another.
Wow.
And celebrate the fact that God has destined us by His design. Diva means destined by God's design. My design as woman, feminine, is God's design. That I've been inspired to impact. I am ignited to inspire others. That's my purpose. And then about V is about my 7 values. Values of prayer, value of being dependable. And then A is one of the most important things about this class for me is, can I mentor and coach these women to act passionately, act on purpose, act on what God has called them to do.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Pastor Cynthia, for being here. As always, always good conversation with you. Guys, please do be sure to attend the event, Diva Spark, this weekend at Milele Guest House from 9 a.m.
From 9 a.m.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m. With that said, guys, thank you so much again for being a part of the show. I know some of you have noted that you're tuned in even on Facebook. Joe Cartel, you say you're tuned in as usual. Tammy Lau Yin, you say, Peter, you're tuned in from Banana. Asante sana for your company as well. We really do appreciate you guys. With that said, we're going to take a short break. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about emotional infidelity. Are you guys sort of in a situation where you're dealing with cheating, maybe not physical cheating in your relationship? We're going to be tackling that in just a bit. Again, the SMS line is 22 999. Keep your SMSs coming in, and we'll be back in just a bit. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. My name is Joyce Wahiga, and we continue with our discussions today on Relationship Tuesday. And let me just read some of the Facebook messages that came in during our last segment. Cecilia Moiruri, you say you're watching it. You were very much encouraged. You're tuning in from Moranga. Someone else says, tuned in as usual. Some of us are in that season of singleness, but I believe God's timing is always the best. Thank you guys again for your feedback. Remember that you can keep the conversation going with us. That's on 22999. That's our SMS line. It's absolutely free to SMS in. In addition, you can reach us on our social media platforms. That's at Switch TV KE on Instagram and at Switch TV Kenya on Facebook and Twitter. With that said, we want to now begin talking about our next segment for the day, which is emotional infidelity. And joining me to discuss this is Benjamin Zulu, who's a clinical psychologist. Karibu sana to the show. Really nice to meet you. So Benjamin, we first need to define exactly what emotional infidelity is. A lot of us, of course, know the word infidelity. We sort of live in that age where everybody's radars are up, watu wako chonjo.
Yeah.
But in a sense, we've always understood infidelity to be a physical act.
Correct.
But we're talking about emotional infidelity today. So what is that?
When you talk about emotional infidelity, Joyce, we are talking about inappropriate attachment to another person other than the one you're in a committed relationship with. Let's break that down to say, if a person is attached emotionally to another person apart from the one they're in a committed relationship with, that's what we are calling infidelity. Infidelity is unfaithfulness.
Yeah.
Getting emotional fulfillment, emotional somebody to feed you emotionally, to meet your needs emotionally, other than the one you're in a relationship with, usually there is no sex involved, but it's an attachment.
It's cheating.
Yes.
Like
there's
you need to call it
unfaithfulness.
out. Yeah, it's unfaithfulness.
Yes.
You're cheating on your partner as much as it's not physical. If you that's the person you think about, that's the person you run to when
Very
things
good.
are thick.
We
right?
are coming to the signs.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about that, the signs.
The signs. You know that you're in an emotional affair with another person when we are going to talk about the stages of how they develop, but let's talk about the signs. When you realize that you're talking to this person in secrecy, you don't tell your partner about it. When you realize that you have to text good morning and good night to them, and you feel anxious when they don't text you, and you look forward to meeting them, and you reorganize your schedules, your plans to meet them, and you can hardly focus when they are around you, and there are gifts involved between the two of you, and there is chemistry going on between the two of you. And that collection, usually it's the same collection that happens in a healthy relationship.
It's just without the physical.
Yes, the same collection of a feeling of specialness. You feel like they understand you in a special way. You feel energized in their presence. You talk about personal things with them. And one telltale sign is when you talk trash about your partner with this person.
To that person. Ooh.
Yes. If you talk trash about your partner with this other person, that's one of the telltale signs. There's another subtle form of emotional affair where you actually praise your partner to justify as though you're just a friend to this couple.
Wait, it's to justify.
In the stages of a development of emotional affair, the first stage is innocent friendship.
I think you're going to scare a lot of people here today, but it's an important conversation to have. So, innocent?
Friends, that's stage one.
That's what we're telling ourselves. We're just friends.
Many people whom you end up having emotional affairs with, when you started, it was not on your mind.
Right.
You just had a good click. It's a person you understood each other with, from workplace, from somewhere, but you just have a flow, you click. And let's justify this, Joyce. Having good connection with people is not bad.
Right.
You need
Absolutely.
chemistry with people to have good conversations, to have a working relationship, to have flow.
Business, everything.
That is
Right.
important.
Absolutely.
What we are talking about here is emotional affair is when the friendship has crossed the line. The friendships that cross the line are the ones we're discussing today. You're having many good friendships out there with the people, but they are within boundaries. That's very healthy. They don't need to be hidden. Your partner knows about them, or they don't need to know, but there's nothing, about it that is inappropriate. So stage one is innocent friendship. The next stage is infatuation.
Infatuation.
You feel especially understood by this person. They understand your thoughts. They understand your feelings in a special way. You feel so good and empowered when you're in their presence. That you enjoy the flirting atmosphere.
By the way, and that is such a huge thing.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of our audience members can relate to this, because a lot of women in married relationships say this a lot, unfortunately. They're like, this person, he just understands me. My husband doesn't understand me, but this other person, he really understands me. If that is your experience, please do SMS us 22999 as we continue talking with Benjamin Zulu. And we sort of tell ourselves that there's no harm in that, right?
At that point, we have moved from innocent friendship. This is the first time you shall tell that your partner is getting attached to somebody. They come up a lot in his conversations.
Wow.
A person who's having an influence on you will keep up showing up in your thoughts, in your illustrations, in your points. So-and-so says, I think so-and-so said this, I was with so-and-so, I remembered what so-and-so said. That name that keeps coming up is a sign of influence. It's not a sign of something negative. It's just a sign of influence. This person is having an influence on you. It's a good connection. But where does it cross the line? Infatuation means it's having now a sexual connotation, an emotional angle to it. Stage 3 is need for secrecy. When you now need to keep it hidden.
Hizo mais, WhatsApp unafanya hivi.
Na ukitaka
kando.
kumtext, unatoka bedroom, uenda ukamtext. Ama unamtumia pesa na una delete messages. Una chat na una delete. You even change, some people change passwords, or they delete conversations, or ama simu ikipigwa ana step out akachukue. Ama ana change body language akichukua. Hata kama usikii chenye anaongea, but you can see ame change body language akiongea na hiyo phone.
Yeah.
Need for secrecy. If you have to hide what you're communicating with a person, probably now you've already crossed the line.
Wow.
But we are going to notify, especially Christians, they must not mistake secrecy with honesty and openness. That may be a topic for another day. We're not saying you keep everything you're doing open. That is not healthy. But we are saying if you need to hide what you're communicating with a particular person, probably it has already crossed the line. Now, stage 4 is called emotional dependency. We moved from innocent friendship to infatuation.
Yeah.
Now we have come to secrecy, need for secrecy. Now emotional dependency.
Okay.
When you need whatever happens in your life, that's the person you need to talk to. In your ups and downs of life, the tensions at your workplace, the frustrations you're going through.
Before even your spouse.
If that's the person you need to meet, to talk
pour
to,
out your heart.
that's emotional dependency.
Where? Like you're cheating.
And now at this point, the significance of your spouse begins to decrease.
Yeah.
The intimacy, the closeness you used to have with your spouse is decreasing. You begin to see more flaws in your spouse and more glorified image of your newfound love, quote unquote. This friend, this person who, what happens? I must help brothers.
So dear boy child.
I'm new in this married group.
Okay.
My 3rd week of marriage.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, I hope umejipanga vizuri.
We are still in that honeymoon phase, and I was told that it's full of but I was told to make the fire as high as possible.
Yes, keep
So
your
that if
honeymoon
the
on
flames go-
forever. Work towards that.
But what you need to understand is, from psychology, the psychology of the grass is greener on the other side syndrome is this. Should you go along with this person? Because after stage 4 of emotional dependency, the next stage is usually physical, emotional, sexual relationship now. By stage 4, there's sexual tension growing between the two of you. That time, you're even insinuating, talking about sex between the two of you. Indirectly.
Yeah. It's gone from flirting about, hey, when in Rainbow to now
Yes.
even other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those times you greet each other, now there's prolonged hugs. You
5
look
minutes.
forward to it.
Yes.
You know, and those
Caressing, all those things.
Yes. And if you drive to work together, some people it begin as innocently as just giving each other a lift or something. Now those drives become special. Something you look forward to. And if the person doesn't show up, something happens, you feel disappointed and hurt.
Let down.
Now there's emotional dependency. So the next stage is usually sexual now.
Yeah.
And when we say sexual, there can be many other activities in sexual, apart from the traditional one.
Yeah.
You can have, people can get involved sexually without the traditional kind of sex that can
physical
yes
intimacy to some degree.
we are saying, if you want to know, you yourself, you're involved, is getting to know. I was warning people, brothers, those of us and sisters, if you're in a committed relationship, can be marriage or just a relationship. I want you to remember this. When you first met your person you are relating with, they also looked as glorified as this person. This is just a phase.
Sure.
Should you go all the way and conclude this relationship in a sexual way, you soon begin to see flaws again in this person.
You just repeat the same cycle
Yes.
until the next person.
You just need to know that it's a principle, it's a pattern. And another thing, if you're suffering a frustration in your relationship, be very careful now, because you are more vulnerable.
Hey?
If you are especially unhappy in your marriage or relationship, there's something called rebound. You're looking for relief somewhere. Remember this, your need can exaggerate the goodness of this person.
That's true.
Because you are so needy, this person looks so angelic, because the other person is hurting you maybe. Later on you come to see, although that person used to criticize you, this one is complimenting you, praising you, seeing good things in you. Now you get
Wewe ni
attracted.
malaika.
Yes. Akona strength yule mwingine hana. If you stay with this one long enough, utaona weakness zake pia.
Yeah.
Ambazo zitakufrustrate pia. Na ukutane na mwingine watatu ambaye hana hizo weakness ziko na huyu. And the pattern continues. Nobody is perfect, only that they are different.
Right.
And because you needed relief emotionally, this person looked like an angel. So remember this, when you are needy, you can exaggerate the goodness of a person.
I want you to talk about that, because you're saying it's really on the person. Because if you're saying you will literally jump from one relationship to another, which is why, in fact, they are what we call serial cheaters,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You're doing the same thing from one woman to another woman, or one man to another man. You're just repeating the same cycle. Talk to us about the psychology of that person, considering in our last conversation just today, we were talking about time and seasons.
Yes.
That in relationships, in life, difficulties happen. Right? And so maybe if a person is that insecure or hasn't figured out themselves and how to address challenges in their lives,
Correct.
your psychology, then something is not working the way it should.
You're
because then you're always hopping around looking for the next thing.
Yes.
So you have this front of being machismo, that you have all these women, but really it's a weakness.
It is. And we need to warn people, like, especially the married, if you are both in a relationship, and I am in a relationship, but you're going through a tough time, and I provide a listening ear to you, and then my also tough time, you provide a listening ear to me, that alone can create a chemistry that brings an
Yes.
attachment.
Yeah.
And then soon we don't realize that I feel like you understand me better, I wish I had met you before I married this person.
Yes, yes.
Oh, me too, I feel the same, and all that. What you are calling serial is this. It's a person who doesn't understand seasons. When you are down in your relationship, and then you met this person, you felt like this person was better,
Unaruka.
it goes in a spiral. This thing doesn't work. Usually doesn't last long. 3 to 5% of emotional affairs conclude in a stable relation. Only 3 to 5%. So 95%.
Only. So here you are, this person, oh, Sijui, you don't talk to me like this other person. He treats me so well. So you think you found heaven. Kumbe only
It's only
3
a
to
season
5%
of your life that needed relief.
Right.
And this person provided relief. When you are very hungry,
Wow.
any kind of food is sweet.
True.
Because of so hungry you are, your taste buds will exaggerate. A food will never have eaten on your normal
Hata
day.
kama ni chura.
Yes. Ukiwa na njaa sana, chakula
It's
chote ni
true.
kitamu.
Yeah.
When you're emotionally needy, any person, we have liked a person during a season in our life, only to look at them next year, you're wondering, what was I seeing?
Hopefully you're not saying that about whoever you've married. Because you sasa.
Most of our exes, now look at them, you're
Yes. By the time,
wondering. So it's the same psychology.
Yeah.
Just remember this. That person was meeting a need in your life, or at the phase you are in, you needed
Yes.
something they have. If you're coming from a family where your father is very violent and unstable, then you meet a kind guy who gives you attention, who listens to you. You think he's angelic, he's everything. Until later you realize he's boring, he has no new ideas, can take you out.
Yule.
Or you come from a father who's very diplomatic and kind and takes you around. You begin to think it's a little bit flat. Then you meet a guy who just wants to know where you are, calls you up, checks on you, shows up by surprise everywhere. You think he's surprising and romantic. Later to realize he's controlling,
Yes.
insecure,
Yeah.
can't give you freedom. So it's about the opposite where you're coming from. So what we're calling serial cheating may not be a weak person, may not be a wicked person, can just be a weak person, ignorant.
Yeah.
The difference between wicked is because this person deliberately evil.
Yeah.
A weak person is just ignorant,
Yes.
don't know where they are in life. They are not aware of seasons of life. So even if today I get a down season in my marriage, I'll be aware that because that time I'm needy, I can find another person very exciting, and I'll be aware at the back of my mind.
It's
Soon
just a
I
season.
carry this along to go to the same place with my wife. I better go back and
Absolutely.
cultivate my garden.
Hey, where? Anyway, this is Relationship Tuesday on Full Circle with Joyce. Chatting here with Benjamin Zulu, who's a clinical psychologist. A fascinating conversation we're having here on emotional infidelity. And guys, let me just read something here. You know, there's a US study that was done showing that while findings showed that 15% of married women and 25% of married men had sexual affairs, it was also revealed that an additional 20% of married couples have been impacted by emotional infidelity. So that number is high up there. And given what you're saying about the correlation between when you've passed certain stages of emotional infidelity, you're likely to end up into physical infidelity.
Yes.
You can see the correlation within those numbers right there. But then someone else would say that traditionally the workplace has provided the most sort of common place for extramarital
You spend more
affairs.
time with your colleagues than with your spouse.
Yes. Yeah.
8 hours of the waking time
Yeah.
you are with. Only the few hours of morning and evening you are with your spouse. It's all practical.
Benjamin, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
But when we come back, I have some comments coming in. I'm going to be reading those out. Again, the SMS line is 22999. You can also reach us on our social media platforms. That's at Switch TV Kenya on Facebook. More with Benjamin Zulu when we get back. Wacha nimpeka maji jameni. Amenena. Amenena. This is Full Circle with Joyce. All right, guys. So welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Again, my name is Joyce Wahiga, and I'm joined by Benjamin Zulu, who is a clinical psychologist. We are talking about relationships today, particularly emotional infidelity in relationships. And if you've just joined us by the way, you may miss. But let me just give you a quick recap. Just before the break, we were talking about how the workplace is really sort of like ripe ground for a lot of these extramarital affairs to take place, largely because that's where you spend a lot of your time, right? But just to recap, to know whether you or your partner are cheating emotionally, some of the things are that you share personal thoughts or stories with someone of the opposite sex or that person, you feel a greater emotional intimacy with him or her, you start comparing him or her to your spouse and list even to them why your spouse is not meeting all your needs. You long for and look forward to your next conversation, you start changing your normal routine. You fantasize about spending time with them, and you spend significant time alone with them together. Wow, Benjamin, thank you so much for all of the insights that you've shared. I want to turn to some of the feedback that we're getting from our audience members. And this is on Facebook. Here are some of your comments. Beach Abet Aguas, you say, loving the conversation. Benjamin Zulu taking notes. Good job, Joyce Omondi. Asante sana. Vivian Melissa, you say you're tuned in and you're loving the topic of the day. Daniela Leon, you say you're watching the show and following step by step. Justice Muli Masaku, good morning, Joyce and Benjamin. Thanks for the talk to me. I have been in that situation, leaving my girlfriend and see other girls. Someone here says, Benjamin, he is talking the truth. When you are angry, I guess he meant hangry. When you are hungry, sorry, there's a typo there. When you are hungry, you can eat any food. I think that will be the tweet of the day. Matomwendwa, you were talking about that you also fall out of normal communication patterns. Alfred, you say you're watching from, I believe, Keio, and you're saying you're following the program step by step. Hudson Siringi amesema he's camped there taking notes and loving the show. Wero Paul as well, asante sana for watching the show. Benjamin, as we continue, maybe you can just sort of highlight for us how then to begin cutting that cord before we get to the rest of the SMSs. How do we then begin detaching ourselves from this situation? Because as you've said, this is something that has simmered, yani imekuwa ikichemka for a long time. By the time you've started with it was just friendship, then sijimara, infatuation, need for all those steps.
Dependency.
That is it's taken a while to build that.
The next is sex.
Yeah.
The next that is coming is sexual involvement.
So how do you break that when you're already so far
One
along?
principle we must understand, Joyce. Once you cross a line, it's easier to cross it again and again.
True.
And once I cross a line with you, it will be difficult to take you back and tell you, I think we were crossing the line. Let's go back to. So, number one, because of that principle, there is a sacrifice to be made if you have to break an emotional infidelity, emotional affair. There's a sacrifice to be made. Forget about, clean. I don't want to hurt this person. You're going to have to hurt somebody. Either the person you're in an affair with or your spouse or the person, your partner.
Yeah.
One of them must be hurt.
Hey.
So, sitaki kuumiza huyu ni rafiki yangu, nimemjua siku nyingi, I don't want them to be hurt. If you withdraw from them, they'll be hurt. Or you can just continue with the relationship and hurt your partner, hurt your relationship. So you must make a choice who needs to be sacrificed. So principle one is, because you have crossed the line, it's easier now cross it over and over again. Number two, decide what to sacrifice. So number one is, after you decide that my relationship, I value it more than this emotional affair, you must now pull back towards your relationship. Minimize the time and the calls and the texts. Sometimes men have found it like some people have done counseling with, have found it necessary to block the person temporarily, to block them.
You know what? Speaking of blocking, anyway, speaking of blocking, there's a comment here. Hey, I have a problem with my first stages of relationship. I'm excited, but when we continue, I become bored with it and I end up blocking my partner.
Oh, blocking the one you've got into a relationship with. Okay. We are going to discuss more. This person could be bored by a relationship at a later stage because they are unconsciously afraid of commitment. Commitment looks like it's confining for them. There are people who just want the adventure of newness, of new relationships, new people, the icing of a relationship.
Wow.
And yet the deeper inside looks like it's confining for them. So they could be unconsciously afraid of commitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question here. Hey, Full Circle with Joyce. What if my partner is a snob? He really has no time for me. I wish I were his friend. Is he the one possibly in infidelity somewhere? That's Joanne watching from Kiambu.
Yeah, if somebody has no time for you, we say that's the first sign. If their emotional attention, they look distracted, they don't find you fascinating anymore. When you got into a relationship, how were things? How are things changed? The first sign that they're emotionally in an affair is when they are not available for you emotionally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Another SMS here. Someone says, hi Joyce, I have been suffering from emotional infidelity. My neighbor is good looking and I have been flirting with him to a point I stalk him somehow. I always peep through the door and see when he is going into his house, who he's talking to and how he's dressed. Wow.
That's interesting. This is a person who is also in a relationship.
Yeah, maybe or maybe not. But
Okay.
yeah, she doesn't say if she's already
So
in a
the stage is now
relationship.
infatuation. We said in infatuation, you find this person very fascinating, but it's like what they're talking about is not mutual. That other person is not as has not noticed this lady as much. What I can help that lady realize is you need to know what need this person is meeting in your life. It could be a need for love, need for attention, or a person who meets your, Mr. Right or the perfect person and all that, the image you wanted the most.
Yeah.
You need to realize that this person might not be, their character might not be as good as how they look.
Sure.
When you finally get to know them, even if you are to get into a relationship with them, realize that when we like people, we fantasize them and glorify them and magnify their goodnesses. So although it could be, you can pursue the relationship if it's possible, but you also need to remind you, even if you succeeded to get into a relationship with them, there are things in them that you will not like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone else says, Joyce, my husband tells me he is the man. He calls ladies in my presence anatumiwa thighs, breasts, and I'm breastfeeding, but I feel empty and wasted. Sasa hii imefika wapi?
That's so hurting. Let's tell this kind of people that in a relationship, you get what you permit. How to know whether you are in a relationship affair is, if the lady did that to the man, how would he be?
Right.
Now, akisema I am the man, does it say that being the man I'm entitled to wander outside?
Yeah.
To get emotional, whatever, those kind of sexual from other women, and I'm not. So this lady is to draw her boundaries. I think we stay in relationships that are abusive because we have come to believe that we can't survive with this person. And we think by just cooperating everything, we are winning love. You'll be surprised, but if this lady was to stand for her ground, the man might change. But I think she's afraid of standing up and losing him.
Right. And she's in such a vulnerable place. I mean, she's breastfeeding.
I advise her to get professional help.
Okay.
And if she'd like more conversation, I'll give my contacts later. But even on Facebook, I'm Zulu Benjamin.
Okay.
If you inbox me or get a professional help, talk to a person. You need that thing will continue and become more hurtful for her if she doesn't stand up now and do something.
Let me just ask you one last question, and I really hope you can answer it very briefly because our time is far gone. But someone here says, it's so frustrating to have a spouse who is ignorant and unappreciative. Infidelity is consoling. So they're embracing infidelity because of an ignorant or unappreciative
You're right.
spouse, not even a boyfriend or girlfriend. What would you say to someone like that? Because obviously we talk a lot about the sanctity of marriage.
Ask yourself about the future of this relationship that you find boring. Ask yourself about the long-term solution, whether that affair the infidelity is meeting you in the long term, or you're getting entangled in other things that will just complicate your life further.
Okay.
Infidelity can satisfy you for now, but in the long term, will it?
Nothing. Hey, Benjamin, it was such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
conversation today. Very quickly, give us how people can reach you as we get ready to play this next song by Samantha Ann Anavyo Kuita.
My email is zulubenjamin@gmail. zulubenjamin@gmail.com. Facebook, Zulu Benjamin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll have time for this, so I'm just going to wrap up the show here as we release you guys with the song. Again, thank you guys so much for all of your feedback today. Thank you for being a part of the show. It's been a wonderful time, and if you've missed it, be sure to catch the repeat at 3 p.m. and on the Switch TV website and on YouTube. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. Here's Samantha Ann with the song Anavyo Kuita. Until tomorrow, would you have yourselves a wonderful day. God bless you. I'll see you then. Ciao.
maisha yako.